All right, so we're wrapping our yarn all the way around the hoop of our dream catcher, and I'm almost there. I just have a little bit more to go. So I'm going to finish up this. And while I do this, I want to remind you all that you keep your yarn tight. So this is going to help with our next step when we start to do the web inside our dream catcher, where our web is used to catch our bad dreams, and the hole in the center is supposed to let the good dreams through. Also, don't forget that the hoop is supposed to resemble the circle of life. And circle of life is infants to childhood to adulthood and to old age. So I'm just going to do a couple extra little loops right in this area because I want this to hold a little bit better, especially around this little piece where my two wires joined. So I'm just doing a little bit of extra looping, which is a good thing. And I'm going to put this down. I'm going to grab my scissors. I'm going to give myself a little bit of yarn. And this time through, I'm going to go around my thumb like this, and then I'm just going to loop it, and it's going to knot. So that will stay right there. This little piece right here is from the beginning, and I'm just going to tie it right to it because a little extra knot's not going to hurt anything. Here we go. All set. All right, so we have our hoop for our dream catcher. Remember, our hoop represents the cycle of life, and our dream catcher is going to help us. Okay, so I'm ready to start doing the center of my dream catcher, the webbing part. What you're going to do is you're going to tie whatever string or yarn you choose to the top piece. So always start at the top. It makes it a little bit easier. And you're going to, just like a spider web, you're going to start weaving. Remember, we're working from the outside all the way to the inside. So our middle will be our last spot. So what you're going to do is you're going to loop your yarn in here. And this is kind of the neat part. In order to make it so it doesn't slide on you, you want to take this already so your yarn comes all the way around like you've looped, and then instead of keep going, you're going to loop it back a little bit so it comes through that hole that you just made. So just like this. So you'll have this little loop. And I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to do that again for you. All right, let's do this. So we have this little loop. So I'm going to do this again. Now I'm going to try to space them out. So I'm coming around, and then I'm going to come through here. You have a lot of string. Sometimes you worry that you're going to get a knot. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this right back up where I wanted it. Maybe even a little closer. So we have these little loops. These little loops doing this is going to make it so that they don't slide. So we're going to go right in here. We're going to go under. We're going to come through the hole. I got a lot of string. I didn't want to have to add any more, so I started. There it goes. And then you can just pull it tight and make sure it's exactly where you want it to be. So you can already start to see that your dream catcher is forming. You'll see the shape, you'll see the design, all of that. So just this basic piece, and we're going to keep going around the whole outside until we get up to the top again. So loop and under, and then pull. Loop under and through the hole. That one slid. And the good part about this is that taking your time is probably key on this part. So that way you don't have like an uneven pattern or even like a tangle. So if you just take your time, you'll have a nice even pattern that's going around this. So now that we've reached the top again, we're all the way to the top part. But what's happening here is that I stopped at this loop. So instead of making another loop right next to the top one, we're going to loop this in through the top one. So it's going to go underneath and it's going to come through the hole. So putting it through the first time is kind of tricky because you have to like get all your yarn or your string into the right little area for it to be going through. And I like to just put it all through the hole so that way it's in the right spot for my next area. So now I'm starting this weave. I'm starting this weave right here that's coming in. So we went from our last loop on the outside and we went into the hole for the next loop and we went under and you pulled it towards you. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going from, because now we're on the top in this spot. So we're going to go under and you're going to pull towards you. Let me get all my extra yarn in a little convenient hold. There we go. So now we have this pattern going and we're going to continue it all the way around again. So under and pull towards you. I'm going to take the whole pile this time. That way I don't have a big mess. And you can pull it as you go, so that way you can see what it's going to look like. So under and towards you. Once you get the hang of this pattern, it's pretty easy cheesy from here. So under and towards you. And I'm going to make it so I can get all the way around. And I'm going to pull my string as I go. I'm not pulling really, really hard because I don't want to bend the metal on the outside of my hoop, but I am pulling just enough to keep these strings inside here nice and tight. So under and towards you. Under and towards you. Under and towards you. Till we've reached the top again. So this is the last one. Under and towards me. So I got this my little piece that's supposed to hang over the top wants to weave in with everything, but that's okay. So now this is where I'm at, and I'm looking at this, and I want this to be a triangle right here. And this is the cool part about dream catchers. You really can't ruin them, because if you want to fix a piece that you don't like, no one's gonna know unless you tell them. So I'm pulling this through. It's all bunched up because I got it all bunched up right now, but that's okay. It's not tangled. So we'll get this little piece out of the way again. I'm going to give this a little knot. There, took care of that issue. All right, so our next part is that we're going to continue to keep weaving, and as we keep going, we're going to add beads into our dream catchers, because beads, like dream catchers, always have beads in them. So I'm going to start with this little purplish one, and I'm going to, hopefully my yarn's not too big to go through it. Maybe not that one. Let's start with maybe this one. Try to pick some beads that'll fit through your holes in your beads, like for your yarn. So you just string it all the way down to where you're gonna have it in that spot. Okay, and then of course you're gonna continue on. I like to add them as I go. I don't want them just over by the little hole in the center. I like to spread them out through it, but that is completely up to you. So that one's going to stay right there. And then I'm going to continue on a couple more, and then maybe I'll put another one in. So this is how our stuff is coming. I think I'll put another one in. I'm just going to stretch out my very long string over here. And I'm going to slide another one in. And this one this time is going to be like this little clear flower looking bead. I had a pile of beads over here, and I grabbed a bunch of them. And I'm going to try to match them up to the feathers that I'm choosing for the bottom, like what colors they are. That way this all kind of ties together. So then I'm going in with this one. So I'm just going to keep weaving and adding beads all the way around till I get to where the middle is going to be. Ooh. So I'm going to add another bead. Ooh. I'm going to keep weaving. And I'm going to pull this because I want it to look a certain, there we go. So I want to see what I've got going on here. I don't know if these ones are going to work with my yarn. Is a little thicker than I thought it was. There. I wanted to make some sort of little pattern at the beginning of these beads before I get started on the next set. Slide it right over there. Under and through. Remember, we're pulling under and towards us. So here we are at this point, and we have some beads in our dream catcher. So now we are going to go to our next little spots. And we're going to keep going under and towards us. So that way we're going to keep making the web. Even these little small spots. Keep the pattern going. You can even pull it to make it a little bit more tighter so you can see everything. How nice it's all going to look when you're done. Almost all the way around again. We're getting there. I always try to put my hand on the string that I just pulled through to keep it tight so I can keep seeing where everything is located. So now that I'm back up in this spot, so I've reached all the way to the beginning again, so we're starting to see a pattern on this. I'm going to loop through this tight little space right here. There we go. And the next one, I'm going to give this a little pull just so I can see. And I'm going to add a bead and loop it through this one. So I'm going to loop through this one first. I'm going to add another bead. And I think adding the beads slow you down, but they always look so nice in the end. It's like, why not? We can always tighten it all back up again. These little glass ones are not going to happen by the looks of it. Okay, where are we? Right here. I'm going to loop through here. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. We'll loop again. And if your beads don't stay where you want them to stay, I mean, there's always hot glue. Hot glue is not a bad thing. You can add a little glue to it. It'll make your beads stay exactly where you want. You won't have to worry about it. It's completely up to you. Okay, so I've reached this point where I'm ready to tie off my dream catcher. So if you can see, I'm right in this last little loop, and I am going to tie this. So I'm going to loop this around my thumb, just like so, just so that I can keep a space. And I'm just going to do a quick knot. So it goes around my thumb, and then I'm going to bring it through this loop that I just made. Just a quick knot, kind of like what you did at the top when you looped around the hoop. We're just looping around this last string. Helps when I go all the way around, huh? Okay, again, you loop around your thumb, and you got to make sure you go around your bottom string. Okay, so I'm coming up through here, so I'm going to make a knot. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to bring this all the way through this way. I'm going to tie it, and I'm going to make sure it stays nice and tight. That way it keeps the shape of my dream catcher. So, and that's it. So I got this nice tight little knot. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to leave a little bit of string, that way it doesn't, like, you know, slip through the knot I just made. And I can easily just tuck this away. So we have this. So we have all of our little beads going on. We've got this beautiful Dreamcatcher web design. As long as you follow the same pattern, you'll have a nice little web. All right, and I've weaved in some beads. And the next step is to attach strings from the bottom. So at least 3. I like to do like maybe 5. I like to do one long one and then keep them even as I go. So I'm going to put one right through here so that way I know it's even with the top. I like it to be, I like balance. And a dream catcher, I feel, helps balance your life. So I'm going to do that one. So I have one string from the bottom of my dream catcher. I'm going to zoom out so you can see that a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to have one long one that's going to go in the middle. And then in order to make 2 that are going to be completely the same, I always just line up my strings. Fold my longest string in half, line them up, and make sure they're going to work with this one. Yeah, they're going to be a little bit longer than the middle one, but that's okay because I'm going to tie them and then trim them. So I'm going to tie one on this side. And one on this side. I want them to be even. Yep. Sometimes it's good to do the little measuring with your hands. Just helps make things a little bit more accurate. After I get my strings on, I'm going to put some beads on my strings. And I also am going to make some macrame feathers, which are really cool. And they're also a yarn project. And the good thing about that is I have a whole nother tutorial on that. So after we do the tutorial on yarn feathers, we are going to attach your yarn feathers to the bottoms of this dream catcher, and then you'll be done. So, to be continued.